Not up too late. You do have an ice cream sandwich.
I sure do.
Look at you.
This is
Speaking of
now.
ice cream
I bought
sandwiches.
like a pack of like 20. I gotta eat them at some point. And
That's the fallacy. Yeah.
I have to eat them
You know
now.
how I drink fewer beers these days? I don't buy as much beer.
You don't buy them? Yeah, exactly.
That's not true. I just bought a fucking what's the box of cans? How big is that? 12 maybe?
12. It's
Probably
12,
12.
yeah.
They had the Sam Adams fall collection. I
Yeah.
was like, man, I like the fall beers a lot.
Yeah.
But I bought it and it was like still August. I'm like, I really don't want to drink like fall beer. I don't want to drink my
It's
pumpkin
still hot.
ale when it's 100 degrees outside. So it's been sitting there. I drank the Boston Lagers because I always come with the default ones, and then they've just been. I've been waiting for the weather to cool down.
Right.
It don't feel right to drink the
waiting for it to actually be fall.
whatever like the plaid one is or something. Hello everyone and welcome to Chat from the Deep, our weekly live stream post session discussion. We talk about beers. This is the chat for
and
session
the season for them
and ice cream sandwiches. This is the chat for session 43. So if you've not watched that session yet, please go do that because there will be spoilers. I'm your DM Eric. I'm still alive. And joining me, we have Sir Ice Cream Sandwich himself, Gottwald's player Chris.
Hello.
And Max player Raymond. Now,
hello.
Very creepily in the dark. I should have turned my light off actually too. That sounds really good right now.
Oh,
I turned mine off.
Dark.
If we want to get dark with it.
Oh man.
Mine is moody.
Right, hang on. I'm going to turn mine off. I'm going to turn mine off.
Hold on, let me turn my other light on.
There we go. Yeah. Look at that. See, I'm not turning off the ring light. We gotta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's very moody.
I was looking at a horror movie. Like
just lit up by the screen. Yeah, that's nuts.
Reflection off of glasses.
That's right.
So, this was always part of my plan well, not always. Yeah, I guess so. When I was planning out this section of fighting the pirate captains, I was like, well, one of them is always going to be just a straight up pirate ship battle.
Yeah.
And it's not even going to be like it's going to be like an encounter, like almost like a random encounter-esque thing, but like this is a giant scripted like pirate ship. Yeah, they're going to roll up on you and you got to deal with it. And initially I didn't know which pirate it was going to be. And then after I started planning out who's going to be where and what makes sense for everybody, then we settled on this one. And then very quickly we're like, oh, we can have a themed pirate crew of pure Yuan-Ti because it's a fucking like Naga pirate captain.
Yeah.
And then it just from there a question of putting together some maps and stuff. And then
so
go ahead.
Because of that, this is all custom for you? Like this isn't scripted in the books?
Right, yeah. What was I gonna say? The sorry, I'm running low on gas. I don't have an ice cream sandwich in front of me. All I have is this tissue. I was so I didn't have any insight into what the crew looked like because the pirate captains are spelled out and they all have their own tokens and everything, which is cool, but there's no mention of their actual crew or their ships or anything like that. So I had to kind of
they don't give you anything for that.
Right.
Okay.
Because I think in the original adventure of Call from the Deep, they're all just basically sitting in the villain lair as like mini bosses.
Oh, right. Okay.
So what I've had been doing this whole time is coming up with a crew, but I've only ever had to do like a couple, right? Because you met the Storm Maiden in the dungeon. She had a couple people with her. And then you met Dirge in the dungeon, and he just had a bunch of generic Sawagan because most of them are dead. And this is the first one where like, okay, I got to do a full crew that would be on a large ship. And thankfully, Yuan-Ti has a ton of flavors without even having
yeah.
Sorry, without even having to go beyond the basic like monster manual books. Maybe like Mordenkainen's added more or something, but like there's a bunch of Yuan-Ti stuff on there. So for That's a creepy effect when your whole thing lights up.
I'm switching. Yeah,
Yeah.
look at the chat. When
Yeah.
I look at the chat, it's a very white screen. Yeah.
Dark mode, sir. Dark mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. I got to play with a bunch of different UNT stat blocks, then try to figure out, okay, what's the best way to suss out the range attacks. I know what I was going to say. Ghosts of Saltmarsh has some naval combat rules, but then Call from the Deep was like, just do... I think it's partially based on Ghosts of Saltmarsh. It's like, just do your initiative based on the initiative of the crew, like the average, and then... the ship on the ship's turn, it can move its speed, which I just made everything as easy as possible. Like, right, 50 feet, hexes are 50 feet.
Sure.
Boom. And then you can take either the attack, dodge, or dash action. And the one thing I wanted to make sure was that this ship, the enemy ship, is always going to be faster than yours.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be an escape route, basically.
Right.
But other than that, it was depending on just what you guys were going to do. I had no idea. So... yeah, all I could do was try to put together maps, and I still didn't have enough maps. I had to make a fourth map. I had 3 maps set up for this encounter. One map was the hex grid map, which we've obviously seen, which was able to do the actual like distance of the ships and do all that. So I thought that was kind of fun to have the little tokens on the board and everything.
It was a lot of fun,
which was a first because I don't think we've used kind of a vehicle map before. Or maybe we have. Somebody usually can cite something. And then the second map was the one we probably used a lot, which was a combat encounter map, which you can talk about. That as something I literally thought of, I think after I did the crafting stream, which is like, what if I like launched enemies at the players just to help create combat, basically, while this other stuff's going on. So we had that map, and also the enemy ship is also on that map in case you guys were engaging with them at some point. And then the third map was a map that was just the enemy ship on its own map with like proper dynamic lighting, everything as if it were like a dungeon crawl, basically. So in case we move fully out of that map, which
if we all got onto their ship,
But the problem is that map only had the top deck, and Mac was like, Ray was like, I'm gonna jump in through the porthole and mess with the thing, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have the interior of the ship as a map. So those of you that were watching the stream saw me look up the interior map, which thankfully I remembered where that map is from the Roll20 Marketplace, Gabriel Picard's fantasy ships. The ship is called the Orc Juggernaut, I think.
Okay.
The 2 prong things on there, I thought was very cool. So I threw that on there, which is why there's no dynamic lighting or anything on that map, and I just threw the enemies on there. All of that was completely, not prepped or anything in terms of you jumping on into the interior of the ship. I just didn't think to prep the bottom half of the ship, even though obviously that should have come up because you guys probably would have gone in there at some point. So maybe
there's no way you could know what.
There's only so much I guess I can prep for it.
Yeah.
I loved it though. It was a fun situation. I like that you immediately. I did obviously think of you having the shark. I had that on the map already, and I figured you would use that in some kind of cool way to like, engage the ship or maybe attack or do something like that. So you actually kind of played along pretty closely to what I figured. I didn't know you were going to go for the anchor thing though. I thought that was actually a cool move.
It's like you said, the ship's too fast. So how can we slow it down so it stops chasing us? Because it did sound pretty threatening. The prongs, and it's one of the pirate lords, and
it's bigger than us, and it's faster than us, which we could tell immediately. Yeah, you did a very good job of selling how scary this is.
Yeah,
and that we need to do something.
The visualization on even the little the hex grid map is cool because the other ship is like way bigger and it's nicely detailed, which is another cool thing about that Gabriel Picard artwork that he puts out there, because he has all these different permutations of the art, and one of them is literally a token version of all of the ships.
Oh,
and I was always thinking like, when would this ever come up? And I was like, oh, because you could put it on kind of an overland map thing.
Yeah.
But in this case, I was like, gosh, if I'm trying to do this like complicated, like, hey, I really, and I'm glad I did, because trying to do that in the theater of the mind, where it's like, okay, now you're 500 feet, now you're 300 feet, okay, now you're listing over here.
I gotta say, I loved it. The whole like naval strategy map bit of this, I fucking loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
As a sort of abstraction of what you're talking about, like the theater of the mind of like, okay, they're approaching you, because it allowed us to really like come up with like creative, like, okay, I'm gonna go underwater. We're gonna prep the ship to turn. We're gonna gas the spouts. We know how close they are. Being able to visualize that on a large, hex map like we did, really, I think really, at least for our group, opened us up to a lot of like, okay, well, now that we can see what's going on, we can come up with stuff to do.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps having that visualization for us particularly. So that's and you guys were so locked in. It was really fun. Like just immediately we were like just in that moment of that big kind of cinematic combat. Because again, this was a very nervous thing for me to run. This is not a traditional combat fight. This is a pretty complex, a lot of moving pieces, literally moving pieces, and trying to figure it out. And at one point I'm like, hey, if you guys have specific things you want to do, let me know. Because I'm even trying to think like, okay, I don't want to put everybody to initiative right off the bat, because then it's like, okay, now it's your turn. Okay, I sit there and stare at the other ship, so I'm like, all right, let's just do the ships at first, and then that's what's doing the action.
Was that the origination of them launching guys at us? Because like, are they not going to do anything on the ship, sort of thing?
It was something in my back pocket that I was thinking would be kind of fun. At first I was thinking, and this is literally, I didn't even talk about this during a crafting stream. This is something I mentioned afterwards on the Discord. I think it was either yesterday or today, where I was like, how bullshit would it be if the enemy crew could just launch enemies at the party? Basically spawning.
We didn't question it. It was
and I liked that. You guys didn't question it at all. You're like, all right, let's fight. Because again, video gaming, I'm thinking, all right, there's an enemy ship coming at you, and then like enemies spawn on the ship. Like, it's whatever, it's gonna happen. So I was like, all right, you guys, it's at first I was gonna like, all right, maybe they do something on there that casts Dimension Door, and that allows people in. But I think it was James who said, what about just like a ball that keeps the enemies in there, and then it opens up and they're in there, and like, oh yeah. I did think about like, okay, which enemies do I want to include and how do I want to do it? And I tried to go back and forth on the balance, because that's obviously a tricky thing. But I was like, hopefully it's enough just to kind of give the party something to do, but not something that's going to be a big slog in the end. But and definitely part of the goal here when you're fighting in such an obvious unique location is like, oh, well, we can just knock them off the ship. Like, we're moving constantly. Like, if you knock somebody off the ship, it effectively takes them out of the combat. And these are not swimming creatures, which you guys picked up on pretty damn quickly. And man, Twirl, obviously, I probably would have had to add more enemies.
Right,
had Twirl been here.
Knock these fuckers off the ship.
Literally, as part of his auto attack, he can knock people like, what, 10 or 15 feet or something? So that would have been like, just as soon as he nails a hit, which these guys are not have very good AC, would have started knocking them out left and right.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciate that too, because it was like the tactical battle map stuff probably would have moved faster if we hadn't had the onboard fight, but it was something interesting to do while we were sort of like while we were holding, waiting to do. I think
that's
maneuver.
That's when I realized. If you notice, I even mentioned at one point like, oh, they've got a Manganon, they're looking to aim it, but nothing happens yet. Because I was thinking like, I'm not going to do it just yet, and then I realized we went another round. And I think at that point, like, Mac was in combat, maybe, and then, or was about to be in combat, and then the rest of you were still holding for a while, and I'm like, all right, this is the good time to launch another combat. Because you guys are still moving while we can then make sure everybody's doing things in combat at the same time, and I felt comfortable at that level. Like, all right, I've got a handle on how the ships are doing their thing. I think I can also run basically a traditional combat encounter on top of that. Which was pretty tricky. The trickiest thing was, and you'll see this if you look at the stream, I am constantly moving between 3 different maps. And I'm trying to drag you and Heather into 2 different maps at the same time. I think I kept poor Mac on that one map where he was staring at the thing, because I was like, I'm not going to try to even shuffle you back and forth constantly.
Back to the tactical map?
Yeah, the token map. Because that was tricky, but so you guys, we were all shuffling all between all these different maps, and that does make it tricky, I think, because you guys don't see the initiative of everybody, but thankfully it all shows up for me.
Yeah, it's all together. Yeah, exactly.
I did freak out at one point
because people who aren't on our initiative don't matter to our fight, so it's not actually that big a deal.
It got tricky because I think it took my my counter thing. There was like some lag between switching maps, so that initially when I had the brood guards come up, I was like, oh shit, I have like multiple brood guards on different maps. I can't quite tell which one is which, but then I remembered which ones I rolled initiative for in what order, and then that's how I ordered them from there. Yeah, so this is I had a feeling this is going to take more than one session, because this is a big complicated fight situation, and it is frankly kind of the climax of this pirate lord arc. Basically, this is, or I guess you could consider. Obviously, you're going towards the big climax of the whole thing, but he's kind of an overall main quest climax. This is like the individual, like this pirate lord quest arc climax. And I like that we kind of ended it where we spent this whole first session maneuvering, basically getting into a spot, and then like Mac having to do like literal fucking knife fights like in the belly of the ship, and doing that anchor thing, which was cool.
I know. I'm bummed my rolls weren't that good.
Unfortunately.
But it made, for me, it almost kind of made it like cinematically more appealing, because I could picture this whole session to me was one of the most, like, I feel like one of the most cinematic sessions we've had, where I could picture everything in my mind as like we're cutting back to Mac, who's like on the ground, and there's a Yuan Ti clawing at him. He's scooting back and moving them into the lever and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to the ships or chase each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of cool moments, and it honestly it made it more action packed. I think I was worried. You go ahead?
No, I agree. Like, it would have been nice on my end to instantly drop the anchor, and then the ship's like way over there. But it did become more cinematic, like just so tight at the very end when everything was lining up together.
Yep.
Do you think it was too much of a slog? Because I literally just randomly put those 2 brood guards down there. I was thinking, like, I don't know
what could be in here.
What would be like a challenging fight, but not like an overwhelming one for you. Basically, would be like these pair of creatures, and then the attacks just come down to the dice.
Yeah,
it did. No, I can't. In hindsight, I mean, it worked out where it wasn't too easy, not too hard. Able to get it right at the time when we need it. We'll see what happens next time, but there's some sort of escape route at least. If our ship takes off, they can't chase us easily.
True. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess I won't say that what your goals here are, but clearly you've got like kind of wanted posters of all these pirate lords. So that was kind of one thing I was presenting to you, is like, hey, here's one of those bosses you're after. But survival is obviously your number one goal. So it just depends on how things work from there. I will say I don't necessarily expect you guys to literally turn this into a knockdown, completely have to take over the ship, but that might happen also. And we're willing to go for, there's a lot of different story permutations that can actually happen from this event, depending on how basically this combat goes and how far you guys get. Frankly, you all been doing very well so far. I think it helps the balance in that you had a lot of NPC meat shields that absorbed a lot of blows.
That poor scout red shirt.
The poor red shirt scout went down. The one
he
Triton
took 2 big hits, so I feel like he did his job.
Triton almost went down. Yeah, and that's very again cinematic. They're just getting peppered by the shots coming down. I think Mac's been the most injured. Nobody knows about it, but he's fighting in the bowels of the ship.
Yeah,
I think you and Savra have barely. I don't even know if you've been scratched.
I haven't been hit. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are actually doing fairly well, and then obviously Savra just unleashed a hugely big spell, all up on this ship. So we'll see how it goes from there. I will need to adjust this map, by the way, because currently your ship is facing down, and I've got the other ship facing down, and we had you guys turn.
Oh, now we're facing up.
Yeah, so that's something I'm going to do in between sessions, so don't everybody freak out when you see next time that your ship will actually be turned 180 degrees and will be closer. Because that was something I realized, like, gosh, the biggest pain in the ass of the moving ship vehicles is the fact that I won't be able to very quickly update this map in particular. We've got so many different tokens and things on this map, and thankfully I saw the timing where it's like, okay, we can end it right when you guys come up to each other, and then I can adjust that map to where it's perfectly to what I was saying is like within 30 feet or whatever to the other ship going the other direction.
Yeah.
So I will make those adjustments, and then this will probably then we can only use 2 maps. I don't think we're going to need the token map unless we somehow veer off. Which maybe we do. So, but I'll obviously keep that one available. But and then I don't know what Mac's gonna do. If you're gonna jump back on the shark,
I mean, Mac's in like the flanking position. He's in
the
bow of the ship.
You can also move up the ship and start going to the deck and just start attacking. But you'll also see that there may still be a radiant fucking radiation.
Well, right.
But maybe some UNT have dispel magic. We don't know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I do have a plan. I was hoping we could get one more round in, but it was getting late. But
yeah, I think it was good timing. I think
we got a lot of remember it for next time.
We got a lot of good combat in him. I think I was looking at the time and looking at the initiative, going, let's just make it the end of this initiative order, and I think we'll be good to go.
You want to know what I'll try to do?
I would love to know what you're going to do. Always. The more you can give me a heads up, the better I can prepare.
I'm going to attempt to grapple the other UNT and just jump back out.
Okay. Oh, like leave the bowels.
I
don't
want anyone in that room that can just pull the anchor back up.
Oh,
so
right. Yeah.
The longest I can stall, the better. So I'm gonna try to take that other guy out and then jump out.
I know these guys don't have swim speed, so just leave them out there, or feed them to your shark and
Sharky needs to eat.
Sharky needs to eat.
But I have no idea what's going up on top, so I don't think I'll join up top.
Right.
I mean, we don't. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my plan.
Nothing's happened yet. It's just, except that these people are chasing us so far.
The big spell that Heather cast.
That's true. That's true. You wouldn't know. Yeah, to get up there.
Yeah. So I'll have to choose whether to use this current map or use the one that's just the enemy ship map. Because basically, I don't have dynamic lighting on this big map to make it easier just to see. I don't know, generic everybody. But I thought if you were like on the enemy ship, then suddenly like cover matters and all that kind of things. But
okay,
I don't know which would be more useful. If it may be that Savra probably never leaves y'all's ship.
But say the problem is it's gonna be a split. Yeah, right. It's gonna be certain people on one ship, certain people on another.
Yeah, so I'll have to decide if I just want to use probably this one battle map and go from there. But I'll have to make some adjustments so that you guys are facing the right direction, have the right distance and all that, and.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get Twirl back. That'll make you guys stronger for sure, and he'll be blasting people off.
Yep.
But yeah.
Which also, this wasn't the worst session for him to miss because so much of it was us holding on the deck, or on our ship that it almost made it a little cleaner for it to only be two of us, on the ship during the tactical bits, because there wasn't a lot of what should we all three of us do, trying to figure out what. Something for everybody on the ship, or if we'd all been on the ship,
right?
Something for everybody to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was actually pretty fortuitous that Mac had his own attack shark submarine. Some DMs would balk at giving their player a giant shark, but you rolled a nat 20 on the goddamn deception check, so I was let's fucking go. Impressive. All right. Anything else about this session? I have a feeling we'll just spend basically all of next session probably in combat, getting through this and seeing what ends up happening.
Yeah.
And I technically still even haven't. And keep in mind, I didn't even roll initiative for the crew on the enemy ship yet.
Right.
Like I was just treating it as the ship firing their attacks, and then the ones that were fighting on your ship, and then technically with Mac. I haven't actually rolled formal initiative for all the dudes.
And now that Heathers irradiated their ship,
we're gonna have to actually follow all those and get down to the weeds of it all. Yeah.
Yep.
It's gonna be crazy. All right, I think that will do it for this chat from the deep. Thank you to Chris and Raymond. Thank you to all the wonderful fans for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
See ya.